I Want to Hold Your Hand. I Want to Hold Your Hand, a song penned by John Lennon and Paul McCartney, was the dazzling new creation from the English rock band The Beatles. Recorded on October 17, 1963, and released in the UK on November 29th of that year, this track was not just a musical delight. It marked a new milestone with its use of the groundbreaking 4-track recording equipment. With over 1 million advance orders in the UK, I Want to Hold Your Hand was primed to ascend straight to the top of the charts. However, it faced an unusual hurdle. It was blocked by none other than the Beatles' own She Loves You, which was experiencing a resurgence thanks to feverish media coverage. It took 2 weeks for the new single to knock its predecessor off the top spot, but once it did, it reigned supreme for 5 weeks and stayed in the UK Top 50 for an impressive 21 weeks. This song also marked the Beatles' American debut as a #1 hit. Entering the Billboard Hot 100 at number 45 on January 18, 1964, it quickly climbed to the top by February 1st and held the #1 position for 7 weeks before being succeeded by She Loves You. The song stayed on the Billboard chart for 15 weeks and became the Beatles' best-selling single worldwide, with sales surpassing 12 million copies. In 2018, Billboard even ranked it as the 48th biggest hit of all time on their Hot 100. In the UK, it was the second highest-selling single of the 1960s, trailing only behind She Loves You. Now, let's turn the page to the background and composition of this musical gem. Capitol Records' initial reluctance to release the Beatles' records in the U.S. was a thorn in Brian Epstein's side. He urged Lennon and McCartney to craft a song specifically for the American audience. Despite this, producer George Martin believed that the demand for the Beatles' music would force Capitol to release I Want to Hold Your Hand eventually. Paul McCartney, having recently moved into 57 Wimpole Street in London, began using this as a new writing base with John Lennon, replacing McCartney's Fourth Lynn Road home in Liverpool. It was in the basement music room of his girlfriend Jane Asher's home, where the pair crafted the song. Lennon vividly remembered the moment they discovered the right chord while playing the piano together. In his own words, "We were in Jane Asher's house, downstairs in the cellar, and Paul hits this chord and I turn to him and say, 'That's it.'" The song was recorded at EMI Studios on October 17, 1963, with This Boy as the B-side, using 4-track technology for the first time. It was also recorded in German as Komm, Gib mir deine Hand, much to the Beatles' chagrin, who initially resisted this effort. However, their producer, George Martin, eventually convinced them to give it a shot. Released in the UK, I Want to Hold Your Hand quickly overtook She Loves You to become the #1 single, a feat achieved by no other artist before. As Beatlemania reached its zenith, the song's infectious energy made waves across the Atlantic, leading to the American release on December 26, 1963. A fortuitous twist of fate, prompted by a young fan's letter, saw the single released early, and it swiftly became a sensation. The track set a record by becoming the first of 7 #1 songs by the Beatles in a single year, and remains a monumental piece in music history. In various lists and accolades, I Want to Hold Your Hand has been celebrated as one of the greatest songs of all time, cementing the Beatles' place in the annals of music history. And there you have it, one of the most joyous and influential moments in music history, brought to you as only the story can be told. A Hard Day's Night. In 1964, a song by the English rock band known as the Beatles captured the hearts of millions with a fresh, energetic tune called A Hard Day's Night. Though the credit went to the famed Lennon-McCartney songwriting duo, John Lennon was the primary architect of this musical gem, with Paul McCartney lending a hand here and there. The track made its debut as part of the film soundtrack of the same name, and in a delightful twist also emerged as a single in both the UK and the US, each paired with complimentary B-sides. This upbeat anthem wasn't just any tune. It was the centerpiece of the Beatles' first major motion picture, also titled A Hard Day's Night. The song swiftly climbed to the top of the charts on both sides of the Atlantic, creating a sensation that had never before been witnessed. For a fleeting but glorious couple of weeks in August 1964, the British and American versions of both the single and the album shared the coveted #1 spot, a first for any artist in history. The title, A Hard Day's Night, has a charming backstory, originating from a comment made by Ringo Starr, the band's affable drummer. In a 1964 interview with DJ Dave Hull, Starr recounted a grueling day of work that stretched into the night. He humorously remarked, "It's been a hard day," and upon noticing the darkness, finished with, "night." Thus, the phrase was born. Director Dick Lester, inspired by Ringo's spontaneous quip, decided to use it for the film's title. John Lennon, recalling the event in a 1980 Playboy interview, explained how Lester embraced Ringo's verbal slip as a stroke of creative brilliance. Lennon himself had jotted down this gem in his book in his own right, but Lester saw the real potential. However, in a 1994 Beatles anthology interview, Paul McCartney offered a different perspective. According to him, the idea to use Ringo's verbal misstep emerged during a brainstorming session at Twickenham Studios, and not just from Lester's influence. McCartney described Ringo's charming malapropisms as magical, providing the perfect title for their film. Adding another twist to the tale, a 1996 Associated Press report revealed that producer Walter Shenson, having heard Lennon recount some of Ringo's amusing gaffes, decided on the title A Hard Day's Night for the movie. Shenson then tasked Lennon with creating a theme song that would encapsulate the spirit of the film. In a burst of creativity, Lennon composed the song overnight, and the next morning he presented it for review. He humorously noted the friendly competition between himself and McCartney over who would have the A-side hits. While Lennon's recollection suggests he wrote the song in a rush, McCartney and others recall a more collaborative effort. On April 16, 1964, the Beatles gathered at EMI Studios and recorded A Hard Day's Night in under 3 hours, settling on the 9th take for its final release. Evening Standard journalist Maureen Cleave reminisced about a taxi ride where Lennon reworked the lyrics from a birthday card into something more fitting, showcasing his lyrical ingenuity. In an Associated Press account, Shenson recalled how Lennon and McCartney, armed with guitars and hastily scribbled lyrics, played the song that very morning and recorded it the next night. Shenson's admiration for their brilliance was clear. It had the right beat and the arrangement was brilliant. These guys were geniuses. And that, dear listeners, is the story behind one of the Beatles' most iconic hits, a song about a hard-working man who finds joy in the simple pleasures his love brings him. A tune that continues to resonate across the decades, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. In 1968, an evocative ballad from the Beatles' self-titled double album, affectionately known as the White Album, emerged from the mind of George Harrison. The song was While My Guitar Gently Weeps, a musical tapestry woven from Harrison's contemplation of the world's unfulfilled promise of universal love. A love, he lamented, that lay dormant, sleeping within us all. Inspired by the ancient Chinese text, the I Ching, Harrison crafted the song as an exercise in randomness, letting the book's cryptic wisdom guide his creativity. This wasn't just a personal reflection, but also a commentary on the discord within the Beatles themselves. The band's spirit was frayed following their return from a transcendental meditation retreat in India. To underscore his feelings, Harrison enlisted the help of his friend and guitar virtuoso, Eric Clapton. Though Clapton's contribution, a brilliant lead guitar part, went uncredited, it was pivotal. Harrison's initial recording of While My Guitar Gently Weeps was sparse, featuring just acoustic guitar and harmonium. This early version was later shared in the 1996 Anthology 3 compilation and the 2006 Love soundtrack, with a string arrangement by George Martin. However, the full band recording, completed in September 1968, took a more robust, heavy rock direction, reflecting the band's evolving sound. The song was well received upon release, earning high praise from critics and cementing Harrison's place as a significant songwriter alongside his bandmates, John Lennon and Paul McCartney. Rolling Stone magazine ranked it 135th on their list of the 500 greatest songs of all time, and Clapton's guitar work was hailed as one of the greatest solos in history. The duo performed the song together on numerous occasions, including the Concert for Bangladesh in 1971 and the Concert for George in 2002, shortly after Harrison's passing. Harrison's inspiration for the song blossomed after his return from India, where the Beatles had immersed themselves in meditation with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. This period reignited Harrison's passion for the guitar, which had been momentarily overshadowed by his interest in the sitar. While visiting his parents in Warrington, he encountered the I Ching and embraced its philosophy that everything is interrelated. The phrase, "gently weeps," which he found in the book, became the cornerstone of his lyrics. The song also reflected the tension within the band post-India. Harrison felt a rift between his spiritual pursuits and the band's professional trajectory. He was stung by criticism from Lennon and McCartney, who saw his spiritual journey as a distraction. In the midst of this turmoil, Clapton's participation in the track provided a welcome diversion and added a new dimension to the recording. A demo version of the song, recorded at Harrison's home, included verses that didn't make the final cut. The initial recording featured a different arrangement and lyrics, including a verse that lamented the trouble and hate of the world, while my guitar gently weeps. When it came to composition, While My Guitar Gently Weeps underwent a transformation from its folk-inspired demo to a full-blown rock arrangement. The song's shift from a minor to a major key symbolizes a glimmer of hope amidst disillusionment, although the persistent minor chords express an enduring sense of dismay. The Beatles recorded the song multiple times, with sessions marked by tension and the presence of Yoko Ono. Early takes, including a solo performance by Harrison, evolved into a more polished track with contributions from Clapton, who added a poignant guitar solo. Clapton's influence helped elevate the song, and Harrison's insistence on the 8-track recording technology ensured a rich, layered final product. When While My Guitar Gently Weeps was released as part of the Beatles' White Album on November 22, 1968, it stood out as one of Harrison's 4 compositions on the album. The song was released as a B-side recording, and though it didn't top charts in Britain or the US, it resonated strongly in other parts of the world. And so, as the guitar gently weeps, it also reminds us of the enduring legacy of a song born from a quest for love and understanding, a testament to the creative spirit of George Harrison and the indelible mark of the Beatles on the world of music.